Let's start with something very honest. Every year, people sit down, open a notebook or their phone, and they say, "This year will be different." They write goals, they feel motivated, they feel excited. And then life happens. A few weeks pass, maybe a month or two, and slowly the excitement disappears. The goals are still there, but the action is gone. And most people think the problem is motivation or discipline or willpower. But after reading The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington, you realize something very important. The problem is not you. The problem is how we plan. We have been taught to think in years, 12 months, a long horizon. And on the surface, that sounds mature and responsible. But in reality, it works against human nature. When the deadline is far away, urgency disappears. When urgency disappears, execution disappears. Think about how you act when something is due tomorrow versus something due in 6 months. Same person, same abilities, completely different behavior. So the core idea of this book is extremely simple, but very powerful. What if we stopped planning in years and started planning in 12 weeks? Not because 12 weeks is magical, but because it's short enough to create pressure and long enough to create real results. When you have 12 weeks, you can't lie to yourself. You can't say, "I will start later." Later comes very fast. This alone changes how you show up every single day. Now, before we even talk about goals, the book insists on something most people skip: vision. And I know for a lot of people, especially practical, logical people, the word vision sounds fluffy. But stay with me. Your brain is wired to choose comfort. Every single day, you're choosing between what's easy now and what's important long term. If you don't have strong emotional reason for doing the hard thing, comfort wins every time. That's why a vision matters. A vision is not a motivational quote. It's not something to impress people. It's a clear picture of the life you actually want to live. Your health, your family, your work, your finances, and your growth. When you know why you're waking up early, why you are saying no to distraction, why you're pushing through resistance, it becomes easier to act. This book explains that when you think about a compelling future, you activate the part of your brain responsible for goal-oriented behavior. Over time, that literally rewires how you think. So you don't rely on motivation, you build alignment. Once the vision is clear, only then do you move to goals. And here's another mistake most people make. They set too many goals. More goals feels productive, but it actually creates chaos. In the 12-week year, you choose very few goals, usually 1 to 3. That's it. Not because you're not ambitious, but because focus creates results. Each goal must be clear, very specific, and realistically achievable in 12 weeks. No vague goals like do better or improve. You need goals you can measure, because what you can't measure, you can't manage. But even goals are not enough. This is where most systems fail. They stop at the goal. This book goes further. It says goals don't create results, actions do. So for every goal, you define what the book calls tactics. Tactics are the simple actions you repeat weekly and daily, not complicated actions, not heroic actions. Simple, boring, consistent actions. If your goal is to get fitter, the tactics might be walking daily, strength training a few times a week, and removing certain foods. If your goal is to grow your business, the tactics might be content creation, sales call, or learning a specific skill. The key is this: you stop asking, "Did I reach the goal yet?" You start asking, "Did I execute my actions this week?" This changes everything, because results lag behind actions. If you judge yourself only by results, you quit too early. If you judge yourself by execution, you build consistency. Every week, you look at your tactics and score yourself. Not emotionally, not with excuses, but with numbers. How many actions did you complete out of what you planned? If your execution is above 85%, the book says you are operating at a high level. If it's lower, you don't punish yourself. You adjust. Maybe the tactics were unrealistic. Maybe the goal was too big. Maybe your focus slipped. You learn and correct. The process forces honesty. It stops the mental games we play with ourselves. The "I was busy" story, "the next week will be better" promises. You face reality calmly. Another powerful part of the system is accountability. When no one is watching, it's easy to drift. But when you know you will review your progress or report it to someone else, behavior changes. You don't need pressure, you need visibility. The book was originally designed for teams, but even if you work alone, accountability still works. A weekly review, a partner, a group. Something that makes your actions visible. At the end of the 12 weeks, you don't just move on. You enter what the book calls the 13th week. The week is not about doing more, it's about stepping back. And you review what worked, you analyze what didn't, you extract lessons, you celebrate progress, even if it wasn't perfect, because progress matters. And then you rest. This is important. Burnout destroys long-term growth. After that, you start a 12-week cycle. New goals, better tactics, more clarity. You do this 4 times a year, 4 fresh starts, 4 chances to grow, and over time, something interesting happens. You stop being someone who sets goals and become someone who executes. That's a real transformation. The book ends with a very powerful idea. Most people live 2 lives. The life they are living and the life they are capable of living. The distance between the 2 lives is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It's daily execution. If you control your actions today, you can change your future. Not in a year, not someday, but starting this week. Now, everything I have shared so far comes directly from the book. The 12-week year is clear about one thing. Execution happens weekly. You're supposed to break your goals down into weekly actions and review them consistently. And here's where a lot of people still struggle. They understand that idea, but they don't know how to make it simple enough to actually live by it. So what I want to share next is how I personally simplified that weekly execution part and how I made it work in real life without overcomplicating it. A lot of people read books like The 12-Week Year, love the idea, understand the theory, and then they ask, what do I actually do on Monday morning? For me, the answer was very simple. I stopped trying to live inside the 12 weeks. I started living inside the week. The 12-week year gives you direction. It tells you where you're going, but the week is what gives you control. It's where execution actually happens. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by 12 weeks, I break everything down into weeks and treat each week like a small mission. This is fully aligned with the book. It's just simplifying the execution so it's easier to stick to a week after week. At the beginning of the 12 weeks, I decide my goals and my tactics, just like the book explains. Then every single week, I do the same thing. I ask myself, what must happen this week for my 12-week goals to stay on track? That's it. I don't plan the whole 12 weeks in detail. I don't overload myself. I only plan 1 week at a time. And this is where my weekly planning system comes in. I put all 7 days in front of me. I block my fixed commitments first. And then I deliberately place my most important actions, the ones linked to my 12 weeks goals, into specific days. This turns big goals into scheduled actions. Now they are not just ideas anymore. They have a date, they have a place. And here's the most important part. At the end of the week, I don't ask, did my life change yet? I ask, did I execute what I planned this week? If the answer is yes, I'm winning, even if the result hasn't shown up yet. Because results are delayed, execution is immediate. So for anyone watching this and thinking the 12-week year sounds powerful but complicated, here's my simplified version. Use the 12-week year to choose your direction. Use weekly planning to execute it. Big picture in 12 weeks, daily reality inside the week. When you combine those two, consistency becomes automatic and suddenly goals don't feel overwhelming anymore. They feel manageable, one focused week at a time. And if you want to go deeper into the practical side of this, the exact way I personally plan my weeks, step by step, in a simple and realistic way. I already made a full video about that, so after you finish this one, go and watch my full video on how to plan your week. You will find the link above, and I'll also leave it in the description. The video will show you exactly how to turn your 12-week goals into a clean weekly plan you can actually stick to, without overthinking, without burnout, and without complicated systems. Watch this video first to understand the direction, then watch that one to master the execution. Together, they complete the system. Direction comes from the 12 weeks, execution lives inside the week. And when you respect both, progress becomes unavoidable. If you found value in this video, thank you for watching until the end. I really appreciate it. If you would like to support the channel, a simple like goes a long way and helps this content reach more people. Thank you again for your time, your attention, and your support. I'll see you in the next video.